In your piece, Open and Integrative, you coined the phrase digital ecosystem. Can you define this for eM&P readers and viewers?
Sure. Digital ecosystem, and I don't necessarily claim that we coined it. I'm sure other people have used it. We just have used this term digital ecosystem to try to focus the conversation about the role of technology in education away from thinking about specific tools or specific platforms or applications, and instead to begin the conversation about how technology might influence education with just thinking about what is this whole ecosystem that has changed our lives, that, whether it's looking things up on your iPhone or communications or online communities or the data that you get from your Fitbit, all of that is now flowing together in various kinds of ways, and I can describe what I think are some of the salient features of the ecosystem. I can go into that in a minute, but I think the key idea of shifting to thinking about the digital ecosystem is to first understand that education and formal learning sits in a much larger ecosystem of how we learn. And of course that's always been the case, but it's far more ubiquitous, far more fluid. The boundaries between formal education and informal education are more porous than ever. So trying to understand the potentiality of school in the context of this larger digital ecosystem seems like the most important place to begin. The assertion in the piece that although this ecosystem has changed the way we learn outside of school profoundly, I think, it has had less effect on formal education than it has on many other aspects of our lives. And I would say that there's at least a couple really salient reasons for this. One is that higher education, for many good reasons, as well as some that are just merely circumstantial, is highly resistant to rapid change. And I truly do not mean that as a critique. I think that that's one of the profound strengths of higher education, is that it understands itself to be a steward of the past as it's understood in the present. It's a steward of the disciplines, it's a steward of great ideas, it's a steward of profound questions. And it's also a highly decentralized system of interdependencies. So it's very difficult to change it from one central source. It's not a company, it's not a government. You can't just make a decision and it comes top down. And again, mostly to good effect. But it also makes it very resistant to change. But the other thing I think that the reason is that at its best, there is something about the teaching-learning exchange that in an environment where it happens at its best, say in a face-to-face environment, feels like it can't be hugely improved upon. It's like people have said, no matter how good technology gets, it still takes as long to play a Beethoven quintet now as it did 150 years ago, right? Like all of the technology in the world, including the technology that could mean that you could build better instruments, won't speed up the Beethoven quintet. So I think there's a piece of what education is that it's about something that feels sort of profoundly human and I don't want to say unimprovable, but there's something that can't be automated, can't be scaled, etc. So at its best, we resist the impact that technology has had in lots of other places. That you can speed things up, you can do it more efficiently, you can scale it, you can automate it, etc. So I think that's why it hasn't had, both of those things I think are reasons why it hasn't had a profound effect on the way we teach and learn, because for technology to truly improve teaching and learning, we have to do it very thoughtfully, and it has to be done very complexly.